1170 AM पे वेलकम लिसनर्स, मैं हूं आपके साथ हीरा एंड वंस अगेन आई वेलकम अटॉर्नी शाह पिराली ऑन एयर विद अस. This is the Shah Pirali Law Show brought to you by Shah Pirali Law Group. Attorney Shah Pirali is the founder, president and managing attorney of the Shah Pirali Law Group, which is based right here in Newark, California. He is a member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association as well as the State Bar of California. He is a passionate advocate of human rights, civil rights, social action and social services, and he has a strong interest in and knowledge of the political legal system in the US. He formed his law group to work on the causes that he feels most ardently about. His law group focuses on immigration law with an emphasis on employment-based immigration and helps clients all over the US. His offices are in Newark, San Francisco and Washington DC, so he can help you from East Coast to West Coast all over the place. Listeners, if you'd like to get in touch with him, you could do so right now as we speak. You can call us during the show on 510-657-1170. That's the studio number, 510-657-1170. We have Attorney Shah Pirali till 11 a.m. लेकिन अगर आप चाहते हैं उनसे बात करना अपने किसी केस के बारे में डायरेक्टली, अगर आप उनसे कंसल्ट करना चाहते हैं तो आप उन्हें फोन कीजिए उनके ऑफिस नंबर पे फॉर अ प्राइवेट डायरेक्ट कंसल्टेशन 510-742-5887 510-742-5887. You can get more information about Attorney Shah Pirali and his team and his practice, और आपको कौन कौन से एरियाज में वो हेल्प कर सकते हैं आप उनसे जरूर बात कीजिए, खास करके इमिग्रेशन का अगर सवाल होता है. वेबसाइट है piralilaw.com. That's PERALLYLAW.com. So without any further ado, Attorney Shah, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning, Ira. I hope you can hear me well. We are having some issues on the phone, but I don't know if you can hear me well.
I can hear you loud and clear, yes.
Perfect. So, of course, today, thank you so much for your intro, and today we're going to talk about immigration and anything that matters to immigration. You feel free to call us if you have any questions on air, and also you can call our office 510-742-5887. And today, anything I'm going to tell you today is my opinion. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions. So, great news for H-1B. As you know, the Biden administration kind of put a block on the new rules from Trump, which basically made it harder for people to actually get into the H-1B. And luckily, we are going to have a same system that we had last year. So first we have the pre-selection, and then after the pre-selection, you're going to be able to file your H-1B. So we have started taking cases in H-1B. So feel free to reach out to us if you need any help. If you're a company or if you're an individual who wants to get your H-1B done, we will be glad to help you. So there's we're going to talk, of course, about other issues when it comes to H-1B. A lot of people also now it seems like some businesses are picking up, despite the fact that we're still within the middle of the pandemic. A lot of other businesses related actually to the pandemic are picking up. So if you're getting a chance to get on an H-1B, it's a good idea to get on it. So the H-1B is pretty much the same, has not changed from what it was. The good news is, again, there will be no selection based on salary. Selection will be done on a lottery system, just like it was last year. So this rule has been put on hold in end of this year, and hopefully it will never come into play, because this is going to really kill the entire market. And for those who are really kind of want to really kind of work on their H-1B and making sure that it's done properly, we are here for you. We can help you, and I don't have to really kind of go over how the H-1B works. All I can tell you is that you have to meet the requirements of a specialty occupation, and of course you have to have a job offer. And for those consulting companies, make sure you have your end client, or if you have an in-house project, make sure that you can describe those in-house projects, because that's where you see a lot of denials, because people cannot prove there's actual work for the H-1B. Although you will see that memo that was issued in 2010 has been kind of revoked by a judge, still many of the requirements needs to be met. So I will recommend that you actually make sure that anytime you're dealing with an H-1B, you meet the requirements first, and then you look into an H-1B. Now, there are positions, as you know, that are also considered kind of administrative. It's still possible to get an H-1B, but it depends on many other factors, like the number of people in the company, how big is the company, do they really need someone in that field, etc., etc. As for technical positions like computer engineers, system analysts, etc., it's a different story and a different ball game. For each case is kind of different, so you need to kind of meet the requirements. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. The number to the studio, of course, is, I'll let you give the number, I kind of forget now.
510-657-1170, that's the studio number.
Exactly. So I have not been repeating that number for a while now, because you've been being so nice to do it for me. So I have not memorized it. So I apologize for that. But
that's okay, because that's why Attorney Shah, you have me here to give out these details over and over and again, so that you focus on the the legal information and the knowledge that you bring to the table. So.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your help. Actually, it's very helpful to have someone kind of hosting for us, because that makes things a lot smoother for me, because kind of hard to do both, answering the question and at the same time doing the hosting. So hopefully that is a long-term kind of relationship we're going to have here when it comes to the radio, and I really appreciate all the listeners for their kind words. And as you know, we are really in a very tricky situation with the pandemic. So people sometimes they will ask me, hey, what happens? Well, we are working from home, most of us. We are still meeting. Unless very, very necessary, we are not meeting with the clients, but we are doing everything by the phone, and it's working well, because nobody really wants to take any risk right now, and we have been able to do that successfully for the past 1 year, so we'll continue doing the same. And also, one thing I wanted to mention, as you know, there are a lot of things that have been signed by President Biden, and I'm very, very proud to see that he's been really kind of receptive to all the issues, including the word alien that he's planning to remove, because the truth is that we are not aliens, we are humans. So they are going to, although I like aliens, but not in those terms. So I think this is going to be another change.
What is it going to change it to? Do we know right now?
Not yet. I think it's going to be maybe unlawful, not even unlawful, maybe undocumented workers or things like that. But what happens for those who are illegal?
The point here is, Attorney Shah, any visa holder, anybody who's not a green card holder or a citizen, is termed as an alien. It's it is irrelevant regardless whether the person is documented or undocumented, right?
Exactly. That's the whole idea. So maybe they will find a word. I don't have an insight what's going to happen next. What they're going to will they actually do it or not? Because that's not really the priority. It's something that he has been saying. So we will have to wait and see how things are going to unfold on that. But there are many words they might be able to use. They might be using the word immigrant. They might using the word of foreign or something like that. But they're just going to remove the word alien. Now replacing it with a word which suits everybody, that's going to be another issue, but let them deal with that. It's just a matter of showing that, yeah, there is a lot of more understanding and humane treatment of people. And also for people, I don't know if people have noticed.
I think the term that they're looking at right now is non-citizen.
Yeah,
less inhuman word, yes.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah,
sure.
But this is the thing. Even you become a citizen, you still have an alien number, right? I am a citizen, but I still have an alien number. So it is kind of a little bit. Yeah, probably that's the word they're going to use. Non-citizen, just like Trump is now a private citizen. So we are going to use non-citizen. That's going to be interesting, the words that they're going to use. But one thing we know is that the approach that Biden is taking is getting a lot of support, and I am very, very proud of that, because it won't be perfect. Remember that. But the truth is that we have gone through so much in the recent years that any small things towards immigrants is very welcome. Now, for one, I have a lot of friends also. I know we have listeners also from Iran and countries like Somalia, Iran. Now, they are back welcome in America, Yemen, etc. Plus, he actually asked for the war in Yemen also to be stopped, and I'm very happy about that. And also, there are many other things small things that we're going to see. And of course, the big thing we want to see is to see Trump convicted. That's another issue. But we'll have to see what happens now, because the first step has been passed, two steps has been passed. So now there still needs a two-thirds majority to convict him, and that's going to be the hard part, because it doesn't seem that some of the Republicans are even listening to the facts. They're just going by party politics, which is kind of really not a good thing for a country like America. It sends the wrong message to the world, because that will show the world that, hey, you can do whatever you want and you're above the law, and that's not something that anybody wants to hear. But the truth is that even he escapes the impeachment, he might be convicted in other places on criminal charges. In fact, today his lawyers, if I should call them his lawyers, but because they messed up so bad, they actually, one of them actually said, hey, you should convict him in court and put him in jail instead of impeachment. That's kind of funny, because that's not what he wants to hear. So it's a little bit like, well, not a little bit. A lot of things have changed within 1 year. All those things that we are used to, the decency, and well, under Trump there was not much of it, but at least a little bit. He has been stripped, and now coming it back is really making us happy. Realize how important is our freedom. And a lot of people will think, oh no, that's not the way it is. No, it is like that. The truth is that if we don't have this kind of freedom, nobody will come to America, because that's what attracts people the most in America, that freedom. And of course the money, but mostly the freedom to make that money. That's the difference. Now, coming back to H-1B, as I was mentioning, H-1B now is back to the same way it was last year. That means you do a pre-selection, and after the pre-selection, you will be able to file for your H-1B. And hopefully we'll be starting to take cases as soon as possible. And if you want to call right now, if you have any question, it doesn't have to be an H-1B, it can be on anything that is related. Yeah, go ahead.
No, so I wanted to ask you, when you say that it's going to be the same as it was last year, and last year was just basically everything was the lottery system. The lottery would get picked and then it would be accepted or rejected, right? So is it going to be the same as last year? Because this year you said it was going to be more on merit-based and salary-based. Is that not happening?
Yeah. No, the merit base is not there.
Okay.
It has been postponed till end of this year, and hopefully it will not come up. They might remove it completely. But right now, they just to be able to take new cases, they have just said that they will postpone it, and hopefully it will go away. So there's no merit, like they call it, quote unquote, merit base. It's going to go. It's going to be really kind of be a situation where the same thing that we had last year. So you're going to look at things from an angle of first going to the lottery, and if you make it to the lottery, then you will also have a situation where you will have to file the case, not situation, but you'll have to file your case, and then of course getting an approval. That's a good system because that avoids people from just spending money with lawyers just to file their case and then see themselves getting rejected and they don't get the money back. So that's something good. Now at the end of the day, I think the USCIS is going to be, the registration is going to start as from March 9, and just like probably last year, I think it was the same at noon, and then the registration period is going to close in March 25th. So it's exactly almost 1 month from today, and you should be able to pretty much put your name in there and then wait what happens. And then they are going to start notifying people as from March 31st, and then the earliest date of filing will be hopefully April 1st. And there is a registration fee of $10 per candidate, so make sure you have this. And we're going to start taking cases in the next coming weeks, because we'll have to actually put people on the list and start working on that. Now, what has also transpired is that Biden has made sure that H-4 EADs are not being taken away, although now we might see the lawsuits coming back, and we'll have to see how this is, but he's going to fight for it. So I will recommend that you actually kind of make sure that you have all your paperwork ready, and then if you want to file for your H-4 EAD, because it's not going away, and at the same time don't have to stress over it that the H-4 EAD is gone, etc. You have to shift to H-1B, etc., etc. So all those stuff are going to be important, because a lot of people depend on those H-4 EAD, as you know, and a lot of companies too. So it's not like only the people, the companies too really depend on that. So still file your H-4 EADs, and that's another good news that we are seeing. And like I think last time we were discussing about that, right? That a lot of people got confused. They think everybody will get an H-4 EAD. No, you still have to meet the requirements, which is basically the requirements of having the I-140 approved, or we have a continuous 7th-year extension, or of course if you have already had what we call a situation of an extension beyond that, or you have a labor certification also of 365 days. So just the same as you used to do the extension of your H-1B, you can also use the same to do your H-4. And just another information, a lot of people don't know that, is you can use an I-140 from a different company to actually file for the H-4 EAD, and the same for the extension. It doesn't have to be the same company that you're working for that owns the I-140. So these are important things that you will want to know if you want to move forward, and if your spouse needs an H-4 EAD. Any questions on that? I'm kind of hearing you a little bit slow, so...
No.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you completely fine. I was in fact getting a caller that got dropped, but this is great information about H-4 EAD. Please, do go on.
So yes, exactly, because H-4 EAD is...
How much? What is the processing time right now for H-4 EAD, Attorney Shah? And are there any changes in the requirement, or do we still need biometric? Because that's what exactly happened, I think 2 years ago or last year, and which increased the processing time manifolds.
Exactly, and the timing is staying the same, unfortunately, and hopefully it will go down, because we're going to see some kind of changes coming up. But the truth is, we're going to see also a if probably a rejection of the timing, because I'm hoping that Biden will remove the requirements of the biometrics, which is kind of useless, because H-1B doesn't have biometrics. Why would H-4 have biometrics? It's kind of a nonsense, but that's how they were doing things in order to delay cases. And let's be real, it was all done to give a hard time to immigrants. So now, bottom line, what everybody is worried about is that, hey, will there be the lawsuit coming back, the famous lawsuit that we talk about in the before the Safe Job USA or whatever. Well, I'm thinking that this might come up, because the reason they kind of stopped their lawsuit is because the Trump administration agreed with them and said, hey, we're going to go ahead and remove the H-4 EAD, so no need to continue the lawsuit. And as usual, they lied to them too. So now they're going to come back and say, hey, hold on a second. You promised us that you were going to remove it. Now you're not removing it. What happens from there? So all those things we need to be ready to deal with. And then, but unfortunately right now, or fortunately, we don't have any of those issues coming up until we see some kind of lawsuits coming our way. But there's nothing so far, as far as I know. But let's wait and see. But in the meantime, if you're eligible for H-4 EAD, it's a very good approach if you can use that, because for one, H-4 and the EAD allows you to work at it doesn't have no requirements for the salary. That's number one. Number two, you're pretty much free. You can work anywhere. You can work 2-3 jobs. You can stop working if you don't want to, etc., etc. And that's really helpful. And the best part, you can even open your own business. And that's another part which is more interesting than anything else. Hello?
Yes, Attorney Shah.
Yeah, any caller? I'm sorry, I'm hearing you a little bit like a muffled sound. So I don't know if you
No, I wasn't even saying anything at that time.
Okay. I'm so sorry for that. So yeah, I apologize. We're doing the show definitely on the phone, and of course there are some technical difficulties, and I apologize for that. So as I was mentioning, the H-4 EAD is a very interesting EAD because it allows you to basically kind of do what a lot of people want to do under H-1B but cannot do it, but H-4 EAD allows you that. For one, you can work as many hours as you want. Number two, you don't have to work if you don't want to work. Number three, there's no requirements for a basic salary. Number four, which is a very interesting part, you can open your own business. And that's one thing that a lot of people have been looking for under H-1B, which they didn't get. And but the H-4 EAD allows that. So it is interesting to see the kind of potential that the H-4 EAD has, and many companies like to hire people on H-4 EAD. They don't have to file H-1B, etc., and people are not really at the mercy of any kind of companies or middle person, etc., So H-4 EAD is definitely a blessing for many, and luckily it seems Biden is going to keep that. And if you need help filing it, we can help you. Just give us a call, 510-742-5887. So again, I don't know if you have any callers so far.
I'd like to in fact remind all the listeners that if you have any questions, you can call us right now, especially immigration related questions, since there have been so many changes that have been discussed by this administration, and everybody is kind of a little confused what's happening, what's going to happen, what is the process now. So if you have any question, listeners, just pick up the phone and give us a call on 510-657-1170. That's 510-657-1170, or you can also get in touch with Attorney Shapir Ali on his office number 510-742-5887. If you have a question for yourself, or if you know somebody You can also let them know that they can, call and speak to Attorney Shah, no matter where they are, either here in West Coast or the office in Washington, D.C. can also help people in the East Coast. So just pick up the phone, give them a call, and find out more information about Attorney Shapir Ali, his team, and his practice on the website peeralilaw.com. That's PEERALLYLAW.com. Yes, Attorney Shah.
Yes, thank you, Ara.
Do you want to talk about your favorite topic? I want to know, since it is in the news, do you want to talk about the impeachment trials?
Well, the impeachment trials, I'm not really keen talking about it because it's kind of a funny game. The only good news is that the part where they were trying to knock out the trial based on the Constitution didn't work, and everybody knew that because they were basically saying this is unconstitutional to impeach him. That doesn't even make sense. And plus, the lawyer who was arguing that, oh my God, that was horrible. I'm not saying ever.
I can just imagine how amused you must have been.
Yeah, well, it was amusing, but it was irritating because it kind of put down the profession, right? So it makes us look like stupid, unfortunately, but hey, that's what he picked, and actually I heard he was upset himself. But now let's see. In order for them to convict him on the trial, they need at least 2/3 of the Senate, and that is going to be very hard. I think they are going to be short of at least 4 or 5 people. And that's going to, pretty much he's going to get away with it.
Okay.
But he's going to get away with the conviction, but he's not going to get away with other stuff that is happening on the state front. And that's the part which is going to be interesting because he thinks that it's going to be fine, but that's going to also put some kind of burden on us. Because we are going to see another situation here. For one, we're going to see the situation that if he gets away, will he still be able to run for presidency? That's number one. And unless he's convicted in some other courts and he doesn't meet the moral character, he might come back and run for the election. And that's what everybody's upset about. And that's the part that is going to be very, very, very unfair. And someone wrote a meme which is very, very interesting. He asked the question, what happens if he's acquitted? Then that person answered, that means everybody is guilty, which is kind of true because the truth is, if he gets away with what has happened, we are going to see a very the whole system kind of collapse because we are going to see other people doing the same and saying, hey, you know what, we can do the same. Every time we lose the elections or we lose something, we can fight and make noise about it and get away with it. And that's the part which is going to be the most heartbreaking or most irritating, I should put it, for the people, because none of us wants to see those kind of things happening again. And it might happen, by the way. If you look at history, Hitler actually kind of lost a failed coup in 1929, and he was put in jail, I think, for 7 years, but then he got out after 9 months, and he came back and he got elected, and guess what happened after that? And this is exactly what's going to happen if he gets away. And people don't realize that, and I know a lot of Trump supporters will not agree, but the truth is that he destroyed pretty much the whole America, and now we're going to see more problems happening because of this. So I hope that people will understand what is going on, what are the implications in there, and the truth is, now at this point, it is going to be for the Senate. The ball is in the camp of the Senate, and what happens next is pretty much in the hands of the Republicans, because they are the one who might not be. But let's see, we are going to start hearing all the arguments soon, and those arguments are going to reveal a lot of things that we don't know about. And today I heard that they got one of the newspapers got the recording of the transcript of his conversation with Putin, and that's going to be very interesting to see how things are going to unfold. And that's how this is going to affect us immigration-wise. It won't, because he's no longer the president. But the truth is that he's creating a nation of fear, and a nation of fear becomes a nation which is very dangerous, especially for immigrants. And a lot of people might start, when they feel like they are totally kind of disarmed, they can't really get their chance to move forward with their plans, because some of them still believe in March Trump is going to be president. And if this doesn't happen, they might create another fight and actually another riot, and then ultimately they might also start taking it on immigrants. And that's something that a lot of civil rights movement have been warning us to be careful, because... Hello, yes?
Attorney Shah, we have a caller over here who's been holding on to the line for some time. Let's take this call. Hello, you're on air with Attorney Shapir Ali.
Yeah, hi. I have a question.
Please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
I applied for OLT5 as well as EAD. Fingerprints are done. Bios are done. But I haven't got EAD as of now, because I'm seeing a lot of forums there. EAD is getting approved immediately. Biometrics are done. So should I wait for it, or should I contact USCIS for this one?
So what did you file? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you properly because the phone is acting up a little bit. So you're saying that you filed for adjustment of status? What did you file actually?
Yes, I filed adjustment of status. Once I got the receipts, I filed EAD and advance payroll. And then my biometrics are done. It shows the status in EAD 131 application that the fingerprints are applied. But I haven't received the EAD card and AP card. So should I contact you?
When did this happen? When did this happen?
Almost 2 weeks back.
Okay. Wait another 2 weeks. If you don't get anything, then yes, you can call them. Okay? As that what has happened in your case. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, because it's taking around 4 weeks to reach people. So let's see what happens. And if you need help, just give us a call. 510-742-5887. Okay? Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for calling in. Listeners, if you also have any questions and if there's anything that you would like to ask Attorney Shapir Ali, call us right away on 510-657-1170. The studio lines are open and we have Attorney Shapir Ali on air with us till 11 a.m. So कोई भी सवाल है आपके पास, करीब 25 मिनट हमारे पास और हैं, 23 minutes actually. कॉल कीजिए अभी. Any question about your immigration, about employment based immigration, या फिर कोई सवाल आप पूछना चाहते हैं उनसे अकेले में, like for a detailed private discussion, call him up on the office number 510-742-5887. Yes, Attorney Shah, let's continue. Sorry to interrupt you.
No. In fact, thank you so much, because there are a lot of things that are happening, and to sort it out in my head and then go with because whenever we do the show, we don't have a prepared script. I go with the flow, and at the same time, sometimes I miss stuff, and it's good that you remind me that, okay, this is the issue that was happening. But one of the callers made a very good point on when it comes to receipt. A lot of receipts have been delayed, but lately in the past 2 weeks, once Biden took power, we are seeing a good move when it comes to the receipts, and I'm very proud to say that at least now we have a better understanding. Things are moving forward, and that's what has been recommended by Biden. And one of the things he said very interestingly is the fact that you have to treat people fairly, and as such we have to really kind of make things going in the right direction, instead of denying people like they were trying to do. They actually now they are going to try their best to approve cases instead of denying them, which is completely a departure from Trump's approach, which was kind of deny them unless you have to approve them. So now it's the other way around. So it is good news that we are seeing a lot of things we're seeing moving, which we didn't even know that will be moving, but it is. I was surprised today. One of my clients called me and said his B1, B2 extension got approved, and many people have not even had their fingerprint or biometrics, and I'm hoping that things are going to start moving now. So bear with us, and if you need help, give us a call at the office, and we'll be glad to help you.
Right.
So now, having said, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
No problem. So let us know, like I said, sometimes people get frustrated because they don't get the receipt, and I understand that because those kind of things have never happened. But if you look at right now what has happened in the past 1 year, this never happened in our lifetime. We never knew that there would be a pandemic, except on sci-fi movies, that this kind of things can happen. And it did happen. Excuse me. So it did happen, and we are seeing more and more weird stuff happening, which is we saw Americans lining up for food. We saw countries getting turned upside down, and now we have all those problems in Myanmar. Well, the problems were already there, but it got worse. Now we're going to see a lot of things happening in the world, protests all around the world, people fighting for their rights, etc., etc. And of course, you're going to have people who are going to say this is not right, but this is not the truth. Is that we are dealing with a really kind of tricky situation. The world is going to change. It's already changing, but it's going to change more this year. We're going to see a return, hopefully, to the old ways of more humane, but at the same time, you're going to see a lot of those fascists around the world fighting against the people, and that's going to be the part which is going to be the most difficult plus during a pandemic. And most scenarios, if you look at history, whenever there's a pandemic, just after that there is normally a social unrest. And those are things that we have to factor in. Luckily, we have Biden pretty much holding America strong, but it can crumble any time with another wave of the pandemic. So we need to be very careful and wear the mask. I am a firm believer in the mask. You should wear it. I think some people believe, oh no, I should not wear it. It's not a big deal. If it doesn't help, at least it will not hurt you. So wear the mask as much as possible. Don't make it hard on the authorities, etc. And I know a lot of people are anti-mask, but it doesn't really make sense to me. So you can wear it and make sure that, because you're protecting someone else's life when you're wearing it, so go for it. Don't just give up on it. So I don't know how much time we have, Ira, so I wanted to discuss more about of course, the immigration issues, but if you have any questions...
No, absolutely. We should totally go ahead and do that. We still have over 15 minutes, about 16, 17 minutes we have. So if you have any, anything to discuss about immigration, please do so, because that is one thing that most of the aliens here, soon to be ex and new non-resident aliens are usually worried about it. Definitely. And also, listeners, if you also have any questions, remember, I know I sound like a broken record because I keep repeating the same over and over again, but many of you are driving right now and हो सकता है कि आप नंबर नहीं नोट कर पाएं या भूल जाएं, मिस कर दें, तो आप जरूर कॉल कर सकते हैं on 510-657-1170. इमिग्रेशन का कोई भी सवाल होता है, no question is too big or small, no question is weird or nobody is going to judge you, but again, if you want to discuss something privately, call Attorney Shapir Ali on his office number and have a private discussion. Studio ka number hai 510-657-1170, and you can get in touch with Attorney Shapir Ali on his office number 510-742-5887. Yes, Attorney Shah, let's continue. Let's start talking about the immigration thing.
Yes, exactly. Well, another thing that has also Biden has changed is asylum. Not changed, but bring it back to kind of normal is asylum. As you know, under Trump, he has made it very, very difficult for people who are in danger of going back to their home country based on their religion or their political views to get some kind of stay. in the United States. But Biden came back and said, no, we're going to change that. We're going to bring it back to normal and basically comply with the Convention Against Torture, and other international treaties that have been signed. So this is a good opportunity for many people, because I know a lot of people, their countries are really upside down and they are being targeted as political, because of their political views or their religious views. So this is a chance for people who are inside the U.S. to look into what we call an asylum. And if you need help to assess it, give us a call, 510-742-5887. Another thing also, a lot of people always ask me what happened. Many people have brought their parents or their family members to the U.S. to visit, and now they came on the B1, B2 visa, which is a visitor visa, usually business visitor visa combined. And what happened with the pandemic, they couldn't fly back. So one of our advice was to put an extension on those visas, and they have done so. But many of them didn't even get an answer on this. And now what happens is, even if they had let's take an example. Let's say someone came to the United States in January 2000 or February 2020, right? Okay. They got a visa, an I-94 at the airport going to, let's say, August, right? And then by August, they cannot leave because it was too dangerous, so they file an extension. And 6 months, it will go to like February. So you need to file another extension on that extension, although it doesn't really make normal legal sense, but that's the only way to keep you here.
How many extensions can somebody have on a tourist visa, on a visitor visa?
There's no rule on that, because most people usually don't do extensions unless they stay here, but there's no limitations on that, so people can keep filing as many as possible. However, many think there's a 240 days rule, which is not a very clear rule, but you have two choices. Either you file it while the case is pending, you have to do it this way, or you can just go back. If you're able to go back, that's better, because nothing has happened and everything will be normal. You can always use your multiple entry visa to come back.
Okay.
But there's a glitch under, I think, a section of law of 222G. If in case you get a denial and you want to now leave the country, you will have to get a new stamp on your passport, because that stamp on your passport now is cancelled. I repeat that. If you get a denial, the stamp on the passport gets cancelled, and you need to go again for a new stamping.
Okay.
And that's one of the risks, and nobody wants to take. They will prefer to file the way it works is that as long as it's pending, they're safe to stay. And as long as it's pending, and if they leave, they don't get affected. Their visa and the passport doesn't get affected. But if it gets denied, even you leave the next day, the visa stamp on the passport might automatically be revoked under operation of law.
Okay.
And that's very, very important, because a lot of people get confused on that. Any questions?
No, that's actually kind of risky. I mean, you don't get a new one, and you also lose your old one. So probably people want to do it only when it's, when they're in dire need. Is it right?
I didn't get your question. I couldn't hear you properly. I'm sorry.
I'm saying, the tricky part about this is, and it's kind of risky also, because you don't get the new one, and you also lose your old visa, which gets cancelled because of rejection or something. So do you suggest that people should only use this kind of privilege unless, only when they're in dire need, or when the situation is extremely, you can't do anything about it?
Exactly. Well, this is the thing. You are kind of in a situation where you have to make a decision. Either you take the chance and you file the extension, or you take a chance, just fly and go back. Many people, if they feel like they're comfortable flying back, they're flying back. But many elderly people, their health is not good, and flying is risky because of COVID. So what they will do, they will prefer to file the extension. And that's the main reason many people are staying. It's not like they want to stay, it's just because they don't have a choice. So Yeah, there's a risk, but what I'm hoping is that under Biden more humane approach, things are going to be easier.
Comparatively easier to make people's life easy. Tell me this thing also, when you talk about this visitor visa, do people also have a change of status when they come here on a visitor visa, or if they want to have a change of status to visitor visa?
Yeah, that's a good question. When you're on a visitor visa and at the airport you got an I-94, you usually are able to do a change of status to some other visas or even to a green card. However, there's a rule which is 214B, where basically if you have the pre-intention of using that visa as a trampoline to get into the US and change it, they can bring up that there was fraud under 214B, INA 214B. But they rarely do that, in fact, in reality, but it is possible. Now, if you get married to a U.S. citizen, one of the things that has always been recommended, although it's not a law, it's more an accepted thing, is to wait 60 days before. But under Trump, they made that 60 days become 90 days. So there are a lot of issues. The way the system works is that, for example, let's say you enter on a B1, B2 visa, and then you already plan to get married to a U.S. citizen, etc., etc. That can be construed if you get married the next day as fraud, because you basically kind of defrauded the visitor visa to get in. But let's say, for example, genuinely you never had an intention of getting married. All you wanted is to visit your fiancé or visit your friend or things like that. And then suddenly you decide, hey, this is a never-ending pandemic, for example, and you want to basically kind of stay, you want to file a change of status, it is possible. However, we recommend for marriage the 90 days rule to observe it, although it's not a law, it's not even a rule, it's more an accepted thing. So be careful on that part, but at the same time, yeah, there are potential to actually kind of really change status, but as long as you have a valid visa when you do that. So that means when you come in, let's say you come in January, they give you a 994 that goes to June. So if you do the change of status before June, you're fine. But once you pass that date, then you have a problem. Or if you have a pending extension, for example, on the B1, B2, and you try to file for another visa, it might not work, because in order to do a change of status, you have to be in solid status. And while a case is pending, it keeps you in what we call a period of authorized stay, which means you can stay, but you cannot really do a change of status because you're not really in the status. It's a little bit tricky for people to understand, but in simple terms, a status is a solid kind of something you have, like an I-94, etc., etc., and you basically want to change from that to something else. So make sure you pretty much kind of, before you do anything, talk to an experienced attorney, or and you can call us at 510-742-5887. We can assess your case before you leave or before you file anything that will hurt you. Does it answer your question?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And also, I wanted, it kind of borderline also answers when people want to have a change of status to a visitor visa. Let's say whatever visa they are on currently expires or is going to expire, and they have no other option but to go to a visitor visa. Does that also happen? And how much time does it really take for, this kind of change of status?
So someone come on a visitor visa, you mean?
No. Let's say someone here, on a maybe a student visa, I don't know, and is not able to go on an H1 or any other visa over here, non-resident visa, and if their visa is not getting extended or if it's expiring, and there is no other option but to change it to a visitor visa for the time being.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's one of the options, and we have done that a lot during the COVID time. If you are in a status and you don't have anything else, you're not getting extension, and you need to stay, one of the options is to file that B1, B2 kind of change of status from one to the other. So, yeah, definitely it is possible. In fact, this might be the only way for people to continue staying in certain cases. However, having said that, remember, this is temporary. They might give you only 3 months or maximum usually 6 months.
6 months.
And after that, you need to make sure you change to something else or back to your previous visa. For example, let's say you're moving from an H1 to the B1, then make sure that after you get it approved or during that time, try to shift back to your H1B. And the issue in this case is, let's say you file for an extension of it changed your status to B1, B2. The case is pending, and you were on H1B and you wanted to go back to H1B. In this case, while the case is pending, you cannot really file an extension or a change of status back to H1B. You can file it, but it will be a consular processing. You will have to leave and come back. But there are ways to deal with that. One of them is to use a bridge. That means you tell USCIS, hey, even though the case is pending, I want you to use that as my trampoline to move forward. So it is very, very tricky when you reach this kind of situation. So I recommend that you basically wait for the visa to be approved, then you do a change of status, and then go back to your original visa or some other visa. So it is important. It is very, very kind of, sometimes it is confusing when people look at it. Well, I have a visa, I have pending, I can stay here, but I cannot. How can I not change for a change of status while my case is pending? It's because the rule requires a solid status to move to another status. But yes, you can do that. You can move to B1, B2. That's probably the only options for many people unless they qualify for other visas.
And how much time does it really? Yes, it does. How much time does it take for such kind of change of status? Are there any requirements? Anything,
Well, in normal times, it used to take like 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
Now, all those cases are still pending for 8 months. So we have to bear with them.
Wow.
But as long as it's pending, you're kind of safe.
As long as it's pending. Approval is not really necessary. As long as it's pending, you kind of safe. Wow, that's great information.
No, it's not necessary. It will be necessary if you want to change status. But what approval does, it puts you in what we call a period of authorized stay by usually the Attorney General, which means basically you're legal to stay in the U.S. Until a decision is made. But the date gets denied, then you go into out of status. But if it is approved, everything just continue normally.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for explaining that. I know, lot of people kind of sometimes think कि कोई option और नहीं है. They wonder what to do. But this kind of is a cushion on the sidelines that can take care of things for a while. But then you have to think about what your plan is in the long run. So, listeners, if you have any questions, do get in touch with Attorney Shapir Ali. His office number is 510-742-5887. As you've been hearing, I've been throwing questions at him because whatever comes to my mind at this point of time from what is happening around us, I ask him questions. He very well answers them, explains it so well. So, if you would like to get in touch with him for a detailed discussion about your case or for a more private discussion about your case, the number to call, his office number is 510-742-5887. That's 510-742-5887. And his website is peerallylaw.com. That's PEERALLYLAW.com. Attorney Shah, we are about 2.5 minutes away from the end of the show. Anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap up? Any parting words?
Well, I just wanted to tell everybody that the good news of today is the H1B. It will be kind of the same this year. We are not going to see any changes, and at the same time, I will recommend people to make sure that if you want to go forward with your filing of H1B, if your company start early, so we're going to start accepting applications to work on we already started actually, and I would recommend that you talk to your lawyer as soon as possible. You don't want to go through all those difficulties when it's the last minute. But the system has not changed, by the way. Whatever Trump proposed of high salary, who can file only high salaries could file for H1B is no longer there. It has been postponed for December, so you're still eligible to go through the lottery. So take advantage of that, especially the students. And now H4 also, we mentioned that it's kind of back to the same. So hopefully we'll start going to get receipt and EADs fast on cases. Now, the third topic, we talk about asylum because of all the difficulties, like for example in Myanmar, in India, in places like that, wherever you're seeing a lot of issues. If you are eligible for an asylum, please give us a call, 510-742-5887. And I wanted people to check also our website, piralilaw.com, piralilaw.com. And I think we are done right now, right? So
yes, we are in the last minute now.
Okay, so I just wanted to say thank you, and then anything I told you today is my opinion. You should not act or refrain to act solely on the information provided. You should contact an attorney if you have any questions. Thank you, Ira. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Shah. Thank you very much for being here with us, and thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Remember, Attorney Shah Pirali joins us here every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask him about your employment-based immigration case, especially, you can call him about any legal matter, human rights, civil rights, social action, employment-based immigration में उनका immigration firm जो है उनका firm specialize करता है. So log on to the website for more information about how he can help you, whatever your case may be. Piralilaw.com. That's PEERALLY.com is the website, and the number to call is 510-742-5887. This is Ira signing off for now. You stay tuned to Radio Zindagi. Ji ja.